Allies nervous. US reviews nuclear sharing agreements in Europe. Imagine waking up one morning and learning that the nuclear weapons your country relies on for protection might not be guaranteed anymore. For decades, European allies trusted the United States' nuclear umbrella, but now, Washington is reviewing the very agreements that underpin this security. Could this signal a shift in NATO, or even a warning of a coming arms scramble? Today, we're diving into the tense world of nuclear sharing in Europe and why allies are growing nervous. What are nuclear sharing agreements? To understand why this is such a big deal, let's start with the basics. NATO's nuclear sharing agreements are arrangements where certain European countries host US nuclear weapons on their soil, but the weapons remain under US control. Countries like Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, Italy, and Turkey participate in these agreements. Their forces are trained to deploy these weapons if necessary, but only under the authority of Washington. This system has existed since the Cold War, designed to deter the Soviet Union, provide extended deterrence without requiring European nations to develop their own nukes, maintain a balance of power in Europe. It's a delicate arrangement. The US guarantees security, and Europe provides forward-deployed nuclear forces as insurance. Why the review sparks anxiety. Recently, the Pentagon and the White House have launched a formal review of these agreements. Allies are nervous because this could indicate a reconsideration of US commitments, potential withdrawal of nuclear weapons from Europe, new conditions or requirements for continued sharing. European capitals are reading between the lines. If Washington is reviewing the agreements, does that mean the US might shift focus to other regions, like the Indo-Pacific, in response to China? Or worse, could it indicate a retreat from Europe's nuclear deterrence altogether? Either scenario would be geopolitically disruptive. Historical context. Why Europe trusted the US. During the Cold War, Europe was heavily reliant on US nuclear weapons to counter the Soviet threat. Key points. The US provided nuclear missiles and bombers stationed in Europe. European pilots were trained to deliver these weapons if needed. This arrangement allowed Europe to avoid the cost, political risk, and proliferation concerns of building its own nukes. Even after the Cold War, the system persisted, serving as both deterrence and reassurance for NATO allies. Now, decades later, the trust built over generations is being tested. Why NATO allies are nervous now? Several factors are contributing to Europe's unease. A. Changing US foreign policy. Recent administrations have questioned the value of long-term commitments abroad, emphasizing America First strategies. Statements about NATO burden sharing and threats to reduce involvement have shaken confidence. B. Russia's aggression. Russia's invasion of Ukraine, nuclear saber-rattling, and modernization of its nuclear arsenal have made extended deterrence critical. European nations are asking, if the US re-evaluates nuclear sharing, what happens if a crisis occurs tomorrow? C. Modern threats. NATO countries face emerging threats from hypersonic missiles, cyber attacks, and space-based surveillance. European leaders worry that any gap in nuclear posture could be exploited. Germany and Belgium. The frontline concerns. Germany and Belgium are particularly sensitive because they host US nuclear weapons on their soil. For example, Germany currently hosts around 20 B-61 nuclear bombs at Shell Air Base. Belgian F-16s are trained for nuclear delivery missions. A review could lead to relocation of these weapons to the US or other sites, additional costs for maintenance or infrastructure upgrades, changes in operational control. German officials have expressed concern that any reduction or delay could undermine national security. Belgium faces similar anxieties. Forward-deployed weapons are both a security guarantee and a political liability. The strategic implications. If the US were to scale back nuclear sharing, several consequences could emerge. European countries might consider independent nuclear programs. Countries like Germany have the technological capability, but avoided nukes for political reasons. Without the US umbrella, some may feel compelled to hedge. NATO cohesion could weaken. Trust between allies is crucial for collective defence. Questioning commitments could erode unity. Russia might perceive weakness. Moscow monitors US nuclear posture closely. A perceived withdrawal could embolden aggressive behaviour. China could recalibrate its global strategy. If US focus shifts toward the Indo-Pacific, Europe might feel exposed. This is why a simple review can trigger waves of anxiety across Europe. US perspective: why the review happens. From Washington's point of view, several motivations drive the review. Modernisation needs. Existing B-61 bombs and delivery systems are ageing. Upgrades require billions in investment. Cost efficiency. Maintaining forward-deployed nuclear weapons is expensive. Strategic pivot. The US wants to ensure forces are optimally positioned to counter Russia and China simultaneously. Pentagon officials have emphasised that the review is routine and precautionary, not a signal of abandonment. Yet, for allies, the difference between routine assessment and strategic shift is hard to see clearly, especially in a tense geopolitical climate. How allies are reacting publicly and privately. Publicly, NATO allies stress confidence in US commitments. Germany, NATO's nuclear sharing remains intact. Belgium, our cooperation with the US is strong. Netherlands, we trust the strategic arrangements will continue. Privately, diplomats and military planners express real concern. Worry about relocation of weapons. Anxiety over timelines for modernisation. Uncertainty about US political priorities in Europe. Several NATO officials have called for clarity and assurances, warning that ambiguity could destabilise deterrence. Could this spark a new nuclear debate in Europe? Possibly. If the US reduces its nuclear role, Germany, Italy or other NATO members might reconsider independent capabilities. France and the UK already maintain independent nuclear forces. Others could join in hedging. A fragmented nuclear posture could increase tensions with Russia and make crisis management more difficult. Analysts warn that even the perception of uncertainty can trigger a cascade of defence planning, military spending and political friction. The role of nuclear modernisation. This review is happening alongside a global nuclear modernisation wave. US B-61-12 upgrades, nuclear command aircraft E-130J, new submarines, ICBMs Russia, hypersonic missiles, strategic bombers, modernised nuclear warheads. China, expanded missile silos, nuclear submarines, enhanced command systems. North Korea, rapid missile and nuclear development. Allies see the modernisation as necessary, but they also fear that any gap in US support could leave them exposed. Why this matters beyond Europe. This review isn't just about nuclear bombs in Germany or Belgium. It's a signal to the world about US priorities. It affects global nuclear stability, deterrence and alliance trust. It could reshape European defence policy for decades. In other words, the stakes are enormous, not just for NATO, but for the future of international security architecture. Key questions moving forward. As this story unfolds, these questions will dominate. Will the US maintain or reduce its nuclear footprint in Europe? Will allies seek independent capabilities if they feel exposed? How will Russia and China interpret the review? As reassurance or weakness? Could this trigger a new nuclear arms race in Europe? The answers will shape the continent's security for years. Why allies are nervous. Nuclear sharing agreements have long symbolised trust and deterrence. But trust is fragile, especially in a volatile world. The Pentagon review is not just a bureaucratic exercise. For European allies, it's a reminder that security is never guaranteed. Nuclear deterrence is both technical and political. Strategic uncertainty can ripple far beyond capitals. Europe may be relying on the US, but uncertainty is breeding anxiety. And in geopolitics, anxiety can be just as dangerous as action. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit like, subscribe and turn on notifications. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think NATO allies should develop independent nuclear forces if the US reduces its role? Or is nuclear sharing still the best way to guarantee security? The conversation isn't just academic, it's shaping the future of global security right now.